What is happening, guys? Welcome to J Powell Music once again. Back in the building. Be sure to like and subscribe here on the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when these are available. And we are back with another brief review today. We're talking about Roddy Ricch's album that recently just came out, Feed the Streets 3. Haven't heard a whole lot of people talk about it, so I thought this would be a good album to come back from the November vacation, Thanksgiving vacation, however you want to call it here. But so we got Feed the Streets 3, and I wanted to talk a little bit about, I guess, some of the background. Well, not the background, but just the chronology of the sorts. So the last album before this, Live Life Fast, did not pan out very well for Roddy Ricch. Was not critically acclaimed. A whole lot of people seemed like didn't resonate very much with the album, unfortunately. And he is back, and I know from that time and on, there's been, he's been through a lot of, I guess turmoil might be the right word, but he's, the what people are saying, the fans or whatever, via Twitter, the internet, really has gotten to Roddy Ricch, even from a very intense, depressive state. So hopefully he's in a better headspace now. But that last album really jacked him up as far as the response. But I think eventually he came to terms and said, you know what? Yeah, the album isn't as good as it could be. So we got this guy, Feed the Streets 3. So, I think the album is pretty good. The problem with the album, I think, is that it sounds like many other albums of other artists. So, you have this weird dichotomy of artists that are biting off of other MCs, how their other styles are, or artists, I won't say MCs, but other artists, their styles, and whether or not they're actually taking from them, they're releasing music that sounds like it. Now, if those artists are likable, if they have some tunes and whatnot, sometimes it can be acceptable from the masses, thus diluting the original artist's work. And I think this might have happened here. So a lot of these songs sound the same, to be honest with you. There's a few songs that have a different type of vibe on it. Aston Martin Truck is probably my favorite song here on the project. But to me, there's a lot of skips just because of how it starts, or just some of the vocal decisions that Roddy decides to make, and some of the hooks I didn't really care for. So 15 tracks, and this is another problem too. I think it's a problem. I think artists are making albums way too long, and I think they're forced to make them long because of the framework that they're making the albums in. They're making them in this streaming world, so the albums have to be 15 tracks. Did Roddy Ricch want 15 tracks? I don't know. I would have to ask him, right? We don't really know to be certain, but I don't think every single album has to be 15 tracks. And I know it's a streaming thing, the longer people are streaming on it, the more revenue, yada, yada, yada. But I think in some cases that can dilute the quality of the project. But just talking about the songs in general that are on here, there's about 5 skips for me. On this project, in my opinion. Blue Cheese, I didn't care for at all. 8 through 10 I didn't care for, and then No Rest I wasn't really a big fan of either. Everything else was pretty decent. Like I said, Aston Martin Truck is my favorite on here. I think the sample is very different, and it definitely switches things up, and I think Roddy does a good job with his hooks around that, and lyrics are good as well. But I think everything else, it's kind of meh. It's all right. So to pull up the rubric here, for brief review rubric, since this is in the 5 to 7 skips range, skips range, I'm going to put in the needs work. Unfortunately, it didn't meet the criteria of good, great. I'm going to put needs work. I think there's too many songs on the album that don't really hold any value or weight to the project. I also think there are songs on here that there's some okay songs, but I just think there's too many songs on here, and then the songs that are on here, not all of them are fully fleshed out, in my opinion, and because of that, you get that. But Is this a better album than the last album? It is. I really think it is. But the problem is, as far as the quality of the album itself, just a lot of these songs sound the same, man. They sound the same. So I think he has to. I think I would like for Roddy Ricch to get with some unique producers, try some producers out that can kind of reinvent some of his style, his sound. And obviously, that is going to be a huge risk because, anytime you're trying to reinvent yourself, you do have the risk of losing your core fan base. But I think it's necessary in this time because 2 albums that sound okay. I think that is a wake up call that really needs to hit Roddy. So hopefully we'll see. I hope it streams well, but that is my take. I think the album needs work. Thanks for watching here in J Powell Music. Be sure to like and subscribe here on the channel. I will see you guys next video.